Alarms screamed through Horizon Station. Red lights flashed in every corridor. The massive space station orbiting Jupiter shook as its defense systems came online. Commander Alan Miller jumped from his chair in the control room. He had been reading boring reports about oxygen levels and water recycling when the noise started. His coffee spilled across the desk. "What's happening?" he shouted over the noise. Lieutenant Susan Taylor's fingers moved fast across her control screen. Her eyes widened. "Unknown ship approaching, Commander," she said. "It's coming in fast, very fast, much faster than any human ship." Miller walked to the main window. Jupiter's giant red spot swirled below them. The stars looked cold and distant. Somewhere out there something was coming. "Is it one of the Zanari ships or maybe Trellian traders?" he asked. In the 5 years since humans had traveled beyond Mars, they had met only 3 alien species. None had ever visited the Jupiter station before. "No, sir," Susan said. "This ship matches nothing in our records. It's small, probably just one pilot." Miller rubbed his tired eyes. "Show me." The main screen lit up. A small black ship appeared, shaped like an arrowhead. It moved with strange jerky motions, like it was damaged. "They're trying to contact us," Susan said with surprise. "Audio only," Miller nodded. "Let's hear them." The voice that filled the control room made everyone freeze. It wasn't human, not even close. It sounded like metal scraping on glass, with clicking noises between words. The translation computer worked hard to make sense of it. Horizon Station. Need help. Danger coming. 3 cycles behind me. Have important information. Galaxy at risk. Humans only hope. Kate Wilson, the second in command, moved to stand beside Miller. She kept her voice low. "This could be a trap," she whispered. "We should contact Earth Command." Miller knew she was right. Jupiter Station was the farthest human outpost. They were alone out here, 7 days' travel from Earth help. "Identify yourself," Miller said to the alien ship. His hand moved to the weapons control. "Just in case." The alien voice went quiet for several seconds. Then, "I am Vexthal, last assassin of the Shadow Guild. The Galactic Consortium has put highest bounty on me. In your language, they call me the Shadow of Antares." The control room went completely silent. Even the normal beeping of machines seemed to stop. Everyone knew that name. 3 months ago, Earth intelligence had shared warnings about a deadly assassin operating in nearby star systems. The Shadow of Antares had killed 23 important leaders across known space. Some people didn't believe the stories. Some thought it was just scary tales to keep humans close to Earth. But here it was. At their doorstep, Susan's face went pale. "Commander, Earth Defense says we should destroy any ship connected to the Shadow Guild on sight. No questions." Miller felt sweat on his forehead. His fingers hovered over the defense controls. One press and the station's lasers would turn the small ship into dust. "Why come to us?" Miller asked. "Why should we help the most wanted killer in the galaxy?" "Fair question," the alien voice replied. It almost sounded like it was laughing. "Not running from past kills. Running because I refused last job." The alien paused. When it spoke again, its voice became lower, almost sad. "They ordered me to kill entire species. Your species. All humans. Everyone. I said no." Miller's finger moved away from the weapons button. He looked at Kate, then back at Susan. Their faces showed the same shock he felt. "Let me understand," Miller said slowly. "Someone hired you to kill all humans, and you refused? And now they're hunting you?" "Yes. The consortium fears humans. You expand too fast, think too differently, solve problems in unexpected ways. They see danger, I see possibility." Kate crossed her arms. "This could still be a trick to get inside our station." Miller nodded. "If what you're saying is true, prove it." The alien ship moved closer. "Have proof. Data crystal with kill order. Shows consortium seal. Shows human extinction plan. Also shows who paid for it." Susan checked her screens again. "Commander, sensors detect a larger ship entering the outer Jupiter system. It's massive. Definitely not human. Consortium hunter ship, Vexthal said, quickly. Here for me and you. Let me dock. Let me give proof. Or we all die. Miller looked at the small black ship. Then at the red dot appearing at the edge of their sensor screen. The new ship was huge. Weapons readings were off the charts. Decision time, Miller said to his crew. Do we trust the galaxy's deadliest assassin? Or face whatever's coming alone? The station's warning lights continued to flash. Outside the window, Jupiter's storms raged on, uncaring about the drama unfolding in its orbit. Miller took a deep breath and made his choice. Open docking, Bay 3, he ordered. Security teams with full armor, no chances. Susan nodded and sent the commands. Vexithal, Miller said to the alien ship, you can dock, but know this. If you're lying, if this is some kind of trap, you won't leave this station alive. Understood, came the reply. But remember, Commander Miller, if I wanted you dead, we wouldn't be talking now. As the small ship approached the docking bay, Miller couldn't help wondering if he'd just made the best decision of his career, or a mistake that would end humanity's brief journey to the stars. The holding cell was the strongest room on Horizon Station. Its walls were made of triple-thick steel. The door had 5 separate locks. Inside, sitting perfectly still on a metal bench, was Vexthal. Under the bright lights, the alien looked even stranger than the crew expected. His body reminded them of a praying mantis, but bigger and more dangerous. He had 6 long arms. His skin was hard and shiny like beetle shells, shifting colors from green to purple when he moved. 4 large eyes, each split into hundreds of tiny sections like a fly's eye, watched everything at once. Agent Diane Foster paced back and forth in front of the cell. She had arrived from Earth on the fastest ship available when news of the alien assassin reached home. So let me get this straight, she said, not trying to hide her doubt. You're the most feared killer in the galaxy, but suddenly you grew a conscience? Just when you were asked to kill humans? That seems very convenient. Vexthal didn't move. He sat so still that Foster wondered if he was even breathing. Not about conscience, the alien finally said, his voice clicking through the translator box. About smart choices. Bad strategy to kill humans. Why's that? Asked William Parker. The station's top scientist stood in the corner, watching Vexthal with open curiosity rather than fear. 216 galactic cycles I have lived, Vexthal said. Watched many species rise, watched many fall, killed many who threatened order. The alien shifted slightly, his shiny skin changing color again. All species reach for stars. All species fight among themselves, but humans different, Foster snorted. Different how? We're violent, territorial, and selfish, just like everyone else in the galaxy, apparently. All 4 of Vexthal's eyes turned to look at her. When humans reached Moon, what did you do? Planted flags saying peace for all mankind. When humans met Phrygians, you offered to share knowledge instead of taking their resources. When Altarian raiders attacked Mars' colony, you captured instead of killed. The alien stood up in one smooth motion. Even though the cell was between them, Foster stepped back. Galaxy has enough killers, Vexthal said. Needs something else. The consortium fears what they don't understand. They see humans solving problems in new ways. They fear this. Parker moved closer to the cell. You said you have proof. About the contract to eliminate humanity. Yes. One of Vexthal's 6 arms extended, holding a small purple crystal. Data core. Contains 37 assassination orders from across 200 years. Last one has Consortium High Council seal. Target, humans. All humans. Parker took the crystal carefully, wearing protective gloves. He slid it into a scanner he had brought. How do we know this isn't a trick? Foster demanded. You could be trying to start a war between us and this consortium. Vexthal's mouth parts moved in what might have been a smile. If wanted war, easier ways. Could have let contract happen, could have helped kill human leaders. Instead, risked everything to warn you. Commander Miller entered the room. He had dark circles under his eyes from lack of sleep. The large ship, is holding position just outside weapons range, he reported. They've identified themselves as a consortium enforcement vessel. They're demanding we hand over our fugitive immediately. And if we don't? Foster asked. Miller's face was grim. They didn't specify, but their ship is armed with weapons we can't even identify. Our scans say it could destroy this station with one hit. Parker's scanner beeped. Everyone turned to look at him. The data's real, he said, sounding surprised. At least the crystal itself is genuine consortium technology. And the files? His eyes widened as he read the screen. They're assassination orders. The last one is dated 3 weeks ago. It authorizes the complete removal of the human species as a potential threat to galactic stability. The room went quiet. Foster looked at the alien with new eyes. So why come to us? She finally asked. If you didn't want to take the contract, why not just disappear? The galaxy's a big place. Vexthal moved closer to the cell wall, towering over them. They send others if I fail. Better killers. Worse methods. Slow poisons in your world's atmospheres. Engineered diseases. Asteroids pushed to hit Earth. Many ways to end a species. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Needed to warn you. Needed safe place to hide. Humans only species unpredictable enough to help. Miller crossed his arms. And what do you get out of this besides a hiding place? Survival, Vexthal said simply. And, he paused, searching for words. Purpose. 200 years taking lives. Never found reason to preserve any. Until now. Foster wasn't convinced. You expect us to trust the galaxy's most notorious assassin? Just like that? No, Vexthal replied. Expect you to be smart. Expect you to see bigger threat. The station's alarm suddenly blared again. Miller rushed to the communication panel on the wall. Miller here. What's happening? Susan's voice came through, tense and frightened. Commander, the consortium ship is powering weapons. They're demanding we surrender Vexthal in the next 10 minutes or they'll open fire. Miller turned back to the room. Foster was staring at Vexthal. Parker was looking at the data from the crystal. Everyone seemed to be waiting for someone else to speak first. We need to make a decision, Miller finally said. Do we hand him over and hope they leave us alone? Or do we believe his story and face whatever happens next? Vexthal stood silently in his cell, all 4 eyes watching them. If I am lying, the assassin said quietly, you lose nothing by giving me to them. But if I speak truth, then we're already targeted for extinction, Parker finished. And you're the only one who might help us survive. Foster walked to the cell control panel. Her hand hovered over the door release. Commander, she said to Miller, I think we need to consider the possibility that the most dangerous assassin in the galaxy might be our best hope for survival. Miller nodded slowly. Parker, what do the consortium's files say about Vexthal's skills? Besides killing, I mean. Parker scrolled through the data. According to this, he's infiltrated systems, thought to be unbreachable, bypassed security measures from 20 different species, has knowledge of consortium ship designs, weapon systems, and… Parker looked up, surprised. And their central communication networks. Miller smiled for the first time in days. In that case, he said, turning to Vexthal, I think we need to discuss how an assassin might help us send a message to these consortium people, one they won't forget. 10 minutes wasn't much time to make a plan. Commander Miller gathered his team in the station's war room. A large screen showed the consortium ship. It was huge, at least 20 times bigger than Horizon Station. Status update, Miller said. Susan. Taylor tapped her screen. The consortium ship is holding position 1,000 kilometers away. Their weapons are hot. Our sensors can't even identify what kind of weapons they are, but the energy readings are… She paused. Well, they're scary, sir. Kate Wilson stood by the tactical display. Our defenses won't stop them, not even slow them down. We need to buy time until Earth sends help. Earth's fastest ships are 3 days away, Foster reminded them. We need to survive until then. Everyone turned as the door opened. 2 guards walked in with Vexthal between them. The alien assassin moved with strange grace, his 6 limbs perfectly balanced. Without the cell walls between them, he looked even more dangerous. "You decided to trust me," Vexthal said. "It wasn't a question." "We decided we have no choice," Miller corrected. "But keep in mind, if you try anything, these guards will shoot you. Understood?" The alien's 4 eyes blinked, in sequence. "Understood. Now we must work quickly." The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. The face that appeared wasn't human. It wasn't like Vexthal either. The being had transparent skin that showed glowing organs underneath. It looked almost like a human made of clear jelly, with colorful lights inside. "I am Executor Zolan of the Galactic Consortium," the alien said. Its voice was deep and smooth, almost pleasant. "You harbor a dangerous criminal. Your 10 minutes are nearly gone. Surrender Vexthal now or we will take action." Miller stepped forward. "This is Commander Alan Miller of Earth Space Force. Vexthal has requested asylum under our laws. Before we consider your demands, we need to discuss why you want this fugitive." Executor's internal lights pulsed faster, showing its anger. "Your laws mean nothing. The consortium governs this sector. You will comply or face destruction." Vexthal moved next to Miller, staying just out of view of the screen. "Ask about the contract," he whispered. "Make him admit it." Miller nodded slightly. "Our understanding is that Vexthal refused a contract to eliminate humanity. Is that why you want him back so badly?" The control room went silent. Everyone watched the alien on screen. The executor's face didn't change, but the glowing organs inside its body pulsed rapidly. "The fugitive has shared classified information with you," Jolan finally said. "This confirms his betrayal. You now possess knowledge that threatens galactic stability. There can be no negotiation." The screen went dark. "That's not a denial," Parker said. "They're charging weapons," Susan shouted. "Multiple targeting systems locking onto the station." "Activate all shields," Miller ordered. "Prepare for impact." Vexthal moved to Miller's side. "Commander, I have a plan, but you won't like it." "I'm listening. I need to board their ship." Foster laughed without humor. "That's not a plan, that's suicide." "For you, yes," Vexthal agreed. "For me? I've boarded 17 consortium vessels before. This model has 14 access points their sensors don't monitor well." "Even if you could get aboard," Miller said. "What then? One assassin against an entire crew?" All 4 of Vexthal's eyes turned to him. "I am not called Shadow of Antares for no reason. I don't need to fight them. Just reach their central control room." The station shook as the first warning shot passed close by. "That was deliberate," Susan reported. "They missed on purpose. Next one won't." Miller looked at Vexthal. "What do you need?" "Access to your tool room, communication device linked to your systems, and..." The alien hesitated. "Trust." Miller nodded to Foster. "Take him to get whatever he needs. 5 minutes max." As they left, Kate moved closer to Miller. "You're really going to trust him?" "Right now, he's the only one with a plan that might work," Miller answered. "And he has as much reason to stop that ship as we do." 4 minutes later, Foster returned with Vexthal. The alien now carried a small pack made of station tools and spare parts. "Ready," Vexthal said. Miller handed him a communication device. "This will let us stay in contact if you can." "If I succeed, you'll know," Vexthal replied. "If I fail?" He made a gesture with his upper arms. "Neither of us will care much longer." Susan looked up from her console. "They're launching smaller ships, boarding parties incoming." "Get to the escape pods," Miller told Vexthal. "We'll launch you toward their ship. With all the activity, they might not notice one pod among many." As they rushed toward the launch bay, the station shook again. This time it was a direct hit, though only a glancing one. "Damages in Section 7, Kate reported through the comms. "Shields holding at 60%. In the launch bay, Vexthal climbed into the smallest escape pod. Before closing the door, he turned to Miller and Foster. "Why are you helping me?" Foster asked suddenly. "The real reason." Vexthal's skin shifted colors, from dark green to a deep blue. "In 200 years of taking lives, I have never found a purpose worth my own survival," he said quietly. "Perhaps humanity's purpose is worth saving us both." The pod door closed. Seconds later, it shot out into space, one of 12 pods launched in different directions as a distraction. Back in the control room, Miller watched the sensor screens as consortium boarding ships attached to the station's outer hull. The alien troops would cut through soon. "All security teams to breach points," he ordered. "Hold them off as long as possible." Kate pointed to a small dot on the screen. "Vexthal's pod is approaching their ship. They don't seem to have noticed." "And if they do?" Parker asked. Miller's face was grim. "Then we fight until we can't." The first explosion rocked the station as the consortium troops blasted through the outer doors. Warning lights flashed everywhere. "Security teams engaging in sections 4 and 9, Susan reported. Her voice was steady despite her fear. On the main screen, they watched Vexithal's tiny pod drift closer to the massive enemy ship. It looked like a mosquito approaching an elephant. "He'll never make it," Parker whispered. As if in answer, the pod suddenly changed course, firing small thrusters to move directly toward a specific part of the consortium ship. "He's accelerating," Kate said with surprise. "He's not trying to hide anymore. They'll see him," Foster warned. But something strange was happening. As the pod raced toward the enemy ship, the massive vessel's lights began to flicker, its weapons powered down. "What's happening?" Miller demanded. Susan checked her readings. "I don't know, sir. It looks like they're having power fluctuations across their ship." The pod disappeared from their sensors as it reached the consortium vessel. For long minutes, nothing happened. The enemy boarding parties inside the station suddenly stopped, attacking as if receiving new orders. Then, without warning, the entire consortium ship went dark. Every light, every system, everything shut down at once. "He did it," Foster said in disbelief. "Somehow he actually did it." The communication system crackled. Vexthal's voice came through, calm as ever. "Executor Jolan has agreed to talks. Their weapons and engines will remain disabled until we reach an agreement." Miller couldn't help but smile. "How did you manage that?" "I simply explained our position to him," the assassin replied. "With appropriate persuasion." "I don't understand how he did it," Foster said, staring at the main screen. The massive consortium ship floated in space, dark and silent. Only a few emergency lights blinked along its hull. It had been 2 hours since Vexithal's message. The alien troops who had boarded Horizon Station were now locked in the cargo bays. They had surrendered quickly when their communication with their ship was cut. "The biggest warship in the sector, shut down by one assassin," Kate whispered. "Hard to believe." The communication system crackled again. "Commander Miller. Prepare to receive shuttle from consortium ship." Miller glanced at Foster. "Looks like our guest is coming back, with company." 10 minutes later, they all gathered in the main docking bay. When the airlock opened, Vexthal stepped through first. Behind him came a strange sight. Executor Jolan, the transparent-skinned alien from the view screen, now looking much less confident. The glowing organs inside his body pulsed with dim, slow light. 2 other consortium officials followed, looking equally subdued. "May I present Executor Jolan?" Vexthal said calmly, as if introducing old friends at a dinner party. "He wishes to discuss terms." Miller stepped forward. "Welcome to Horizon Station, Executor. This is a surprise." The consortium leader's internal lights flickered. "Your associate has made his point most effectively. We are prepared to negotiate." "What did you do to their ship?" Parker whispered to Vexthal. The assassin's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "I accessed their central power core. Simple to disable when you know how. Their ship will remain powered down until we reach agreement." Foster couldn't help herself. "You took control of an entire battlecruiser by yourself? Just like that?" "Not my first time on a consortium vessel," Vexthal replied. "Though usually I leave fewer survivors." Miller led everyone to the station's conference room. Jolan sat stiffly opposite the humans, his two aides standing behind him. Vexthal remained near the door, watching. "Let's get to the point," Miller said. "You sent an assassin to wipe out humanity. When he refused, you came to finish the job yourselves. Why?" Jolan's transparent fingers tapped on the table. The sound was like ice cubes in a glass. "The consortium has maintained galactic stability for 12,000 years, he said. New species are carefully monitored and guided. Those who cannot be guided are managed. Eliminated, you mean?" Foster said. Jolan's lights pulsed. "When necessary. Your species concerns us. You expand too rapidly. Think too unpredictably. Solve problems in ways we cannot anticipate. So you decided to kill us all? Before even giving us a chance?" Miller's voice was hard. The council voted. The decision was made. "And now?" Parker asked. Jolan looked at Vexthal, then back at the humans. "Now we must reconsider. Your pet assassin has made that clear." Vexthal moved forward, his 6 limbs moving in perfect coordination. "I am no one's pet, Executor. I simply chose the more interesting side." One of the aides whispered something to Jolan. The Executor nodded. "My advisors remind me that we still hold the advantage. Once our ship is restored, we can still destroy this station. One setback does not change council policy." Miller was about to respond when Vexthal stepped forward and placed a small device on the table. It looked like a metal spider. "What you fail to understand, Executor, is that your ship will never be restored, not by you." The device projected a hologram showing the consortium ship's power core. A strange pattern of lights blinked inside it. "I have recoded your ship's security systems," Vexthal explained. "They now respond only to my commands. Your crew remains alive only because I wish it." Jolan's body pulsed with angry light. "This is outrageous. The Council will send 100 ships to destroy this system." "Will they?" Vexthal asked calmly. "When they learn that their most advanced battlecruiser was captured by a single human station? When they discover their most secret security codes have been compromised?" The alien assassin moved closer to Jolan. "And what will they say when they learn you admitted your plan to eliminate humanity? To witnesses?" The room went quiet. Jolan's internal lights dimmed as he considered the situation. Foster looked at Vexthal with new understanding. "You recorded everything." "Of course," the assassin replied. 2 centuries of success requires careful planning." Miller leaned forward. "Here's what's going to happen, Executor. You're going to return to your council with a new report. You'll tell them that humanity is not a threat, but a potential ally. You'll recommend formal diplomatic relations between Earth and the consortium." "And why would I do this?" Jolan asked, his voice cold. Vexthal touched the device again. The hologram changed to show Jolan's private quarters on the battlecruiser. Inside was a collection of artifacts from many worlds. "Because I spent some time exploring your ship while you were unconscious," Vexthal said. "I found your collection of prohibited relics. Items the Council forbids. Items you claimed were destroyed years ago." For the first time, fear showed clearly. In Jolan's pulsing lights, "You wouldn't dare." "I have already transmitted copies to 3 separate locations," Vexthal said. "If anything happens to this station, to Earth or to me, the information goes directly to the Council." The 2 consortium aides stepped back from their leader, clearly shocked by what they were seeing. Miller watched the exchange with amazement. Vexthal had outplayed everyone. "So, Executor," Miller said, "shall we discuss the terms of our new relationship?" Jolan's body dimmed to a dull glow. "It seems I have no choice." "There's always a choice," Vexthal said. "I chose not to kill humans. You can choose to see them as allies rather than threats." The negotiations lasted hours. By the end, Jolan had agreed to bring a proposal for formal relations to the Consortium Council. Earth would be recognized as a sovereign power. Human ships would be allowed safe passage through Consortium space. And all contracts against humanity would be permanently canceled. As the consortium representatives prepared to return to their ship, Jolan approached Vexthal. "You know they will still hunt you," he said quietly. "The consortium does not forgive betrayal." Vexthal's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "They can try, as they have for 2 centuries. After the consortium shuttle departed, Miller found Vexthal standing by the viewport watching their ship slowly power back up. "You gave them control of their ship again?" he asked. "Limited control," Vexthal replied. "Enough to return home, not enough to attack." Miller studied the alien assassin. "You never planned to just warn us, did you? This whole thing was a setup to force the consortium into negotiations." Vexthal's skin shifted colors. "I calculated possibilities. This outcome was preferable." "For who?" Foster asked, joining. "Them. For humanity or for you?" "Perhaps both," Vexthal said. "The galaxy changes, old powers fade, new alliances form. The consortium has ruled too long through fear. Something different is needed now." "And you think that's us? Humans?" Miller asked. Vexthal turned all 4 eyes toward Earth, a tiny blue dot in the distance. "You are unpredictable. That makes you dangerous, but also valuable." As the consortium ship slowly moved away from the station, Foster couldn't help but smile. "The galaxy's deadliest assassin," she said. "Turns out he's also its most unexpected diplomat." 1 month passed since the standoff at Horizon Station. On Earth, the Grand Hall of the United Nations building was packed with people from every nation. News cameras broadcast the event worldwide. Today would change human history forever. Commander. Miller stood at the side of the stage in his dress uniform. He still found it hard to believe how quickly things had changed. Just 4 weeks ago, humanity had been targeted for extinction. Now they were signing their first treaty with the Galactic Consortium. "Nervous?" asked Foster, who stood beside him in her formal Earth intelligence uniform. "A little," Miller admitted. "Never thought I'd be part of something this big." Vexthal approached them. The alien assassin looked different today. He wore a formal covering over his exoskeleton, marked with symbols none of the humans understood. 4 high-ranking Earth officials followed him, looking both nervous and excited. "Is everything ready?" Miller asked. Vexthal's 4 eyes blinked. In sequence. "The consortium representatives have arrived. Executor Jolan leads their delegation." "Did they accept all our terms?" Foster asked. "Most," Vexthal replied. "They recognize Earth's right to govern its solar system. They agree to share some technology. They promise no more assassination contracts against humans." "And in return?" Miller asked, though he already knew the answer. "Humanity will send representatives to consortium worlds. Share your unique ways of solving problems, your culture, your art, your ideas." Vexthal's skin shifted to a deep blue color. "Things more valuable than weapons." The ceremony began. Earth's Secretary General welcomed the alien visitors. Jolan stepped forward, his transparent body glowing with formal patterns of light. The treaty was displayed on screens around the hall. Both leaders signed. What no one said out loud was the real reason for the treaty. Fear. Not fear of human weapons or technology, which were simple compared to consortium tools, but fear of what humanity represented: unpredictability. The ability to turn the galaxy's most feared assassin into an ally. The potential to change the rules that had governed space for thousands of years. After the ceremony, Miller found Vexthal watching Earth through the hall's large windows. The blue oceans and white clouds looked peaceful from space. "What happens now?" Miller asked. "You've gone from most wanted criminal to diplomatic hero in 1 month. What's next?" Vexthal was quiet for a moment. "The galaxy is changing, for thousands of years. The consortium ruled through fear and control, but other species and groups want something different. And where do you fit in all this?" Foster asked, joining them. "I will be your guide," the assassin replied. "And your warning. The consortium signed this treaty today, but their nature will not change quickly. They will test humanity, look for weaknesses. We'll be ready, Miller said confidently. Perhaps. Vexthal turned to face them fully. But remember, humanity's true strength is not in weapons or warriors. I have seen countless species who excel at destruction. Your potential lies elsewhere, in your ability to turn enemies into friends, to see value where others see only threats. Parker approached with a data tablet. Earth's governments have approved your request. You'll have resources to build an early warning network on our border worlds. Vexthal accepted the tablet with a formal gesture. The most powerful weapon is not the one that destroys an enemy, but the one that creates an unexpected ally. That is what the Consortium truly fears about humans. Not what you might destroy, but what you might create. As the sun set over the United Nations building, the small group continued their conversation. A human commander, a security agent, a scientist, and a reformed assassin, planning not just for humanity's survival, but for a new balance of power among the stars. In the vast darkness of space, where empires had risen and fallen for countless ages, humanity's light had just begun to shine. It was small and new, but impossible to ignore, and impossible to extinguish.